Well, I just want to bring you some public service announcements with regard to DCF tents. See those holes? Yeah, okay. Let's just go over here. Can you see those holes? Yeah. There, see that? See the holes? It's happening in multiple spots on this tent.
Hey, Stuart here with a public service message about DCF tents. If you own a DCF tent or if you're thinking of buying one, I want you to hear a story about what happened to mine so it doesn't happen to yours. And if you own one right now, I suggest you get it out, set it up, and have a good look at it. Why? Delamination. What is it? Well, your tent's falling apart. The fabric itself, not the seams or any of that sort of stuff or stitching, the fabric itself is degrading and falling apart, typically in early stages of life, which is probably why most of the warranties are set at 2 years, because you would hope to see some of this stuff happen. But in my case, I didn't use the tent much for the first 2 years. If you've seen any of my videos since I bought the tent, which was August of 2020, I really wasn't in the tent much, right? Until last summer. So I'm going into my 3rd year of ownership, right? And I started to notice these pinholes, little pinholes, little prick holes of light. Like they're bright. You can see them because the DCF fabric's weird, right? Like it's kind of opaque. And when you get holes in it, you can see it. So I didn't think much of it except to say to myself, what am I doing to my tent? I keep it in its stuffed sack. It's inside my backpack. It's not getting ripped on the willows on the outside or anything. And these kept happening and happening and happening. So I got the tape out and I started taping the tent. But it seemed like every trip I had more holes to tape.
Well, I just want to bring you some public service announcements with regard to DCF tents. See those holes? Yeah, okay. Let's just go over here. Can you see those holes? Yeah. Now this will be a bit wobbly while I do it. So that's at one end of the tent, where my head typically lies, let's say. And then up here, you can see I've already patched it. And I can't get a good angle here, but there's more holes like that down here. And then some other pinholes in other places. Now, I just want to be honest. This tent is less than 3 years old. Less than 3 years old. Get a good angle for you there. There, see that? See the holes? It's happening in multiple spots on this tent. So I contacted ZPacks, and the truth is, nothing we can do. Honest to God, there's nothing we can do except some DCF tape. DCF tape. Which means this is now, if ZPacks is telling me that holes like this are delamination and it's only going to continue to get worse, I mean, the tent's dead. Less than 3 years old. No, I haven't done a through hike, and yes, I have properly stored my equipment. How do I know this? I have lots of tents, 5 to be exact, and except for this one, they're all in excellent condition, still. All of my other gear in excellent condition, still, because I know how to properly store my equipment. Look, there's more there. Wow, I would be surprised if this had 30 nights on the trail. What a shame, and what a lot of money. I will say, last thing, ZPacks did offer me a good discount on a new tent, but I can't buy a tent every 3 years. I mean, really, who can do that? Not me. I hear you, buddy. I hear you. It's frustrating. Anyway, not being a rant here, not being negative, being honest. Like the video evidence, well, it speaks for itself. So just beware. Beware.
This was really unsettling for me, and they offered me a nice $200 US discount if I wanted to purchase a new one. And it was coming into winter, so I didn't think much about it at the time. But then I started thinking over the winter, like, let me get the tarp tent out. I have a tarp tent AM lithium, which is a whole year older than the ZPacks Duplex, and it looks to be in mint condition. I mean, all fabric degrades over time, but I don't see any delamination or other wear and tear on the tarp tent AM lithium, which is also lightly used and stored properly in its stuff sack, aired out sometimes, That's how I do things. But so I emailed them back and I said, look, I want to follow up with this. I might do a video, and I just want to understand, like, we're saying that it's melting kind of thing. Like, this is what I'm thinking, right? So I hear from Joe, the founder of ZPacks, and he said, Stuart, we see this from time to time, typically in the lighter fabric, like your tent is. He said, but, you know, if you haven't used it a bunch, he said it's probably a bad batch of fabric, and the fibers are too wide. They're too far apart. The fibers are too far apart, and there's not enough cohesion. I'm paraphrasing this, of course, from the email, because I'm not a fabric designer or engineer. But yeah, they get bad batches of fabric. So I went online. I'm like, I wonder how common this is. Not too much out there, actually. And from what I'm reading and seeing and talking to people, you know, most manufacturers, they inspect their fabrics when they come in and make sure that there's no defects in what they're receiving, because why would they want to pay for something from the factory that makes DCF if it's not up to their standards? So maybe this one just slipped through the cracks. I don't know. No harm, no foul in that. But I mean, wow. On year 3 of a tent, it starts to fall apart. So check your tent if you own one. If you're thinking of buying one, talk to the owners of these companies. They're all hands-on. I mean, I remember Henry from Tarp Tent going to the UPS store himself and overnighting me an Aeon Lithium to Canada because I needed it in like 3 days. And he was right there emailing me and doing it all himself. And again, Joe today from, not today, but Joe recently from ZPacks, a couple emails explaining what it could be. But in the end, what it is a defective fabric that has, unfortunately for me, rendered my duplex unusable now. I can't use it. So now I'm scrambling to think, what am I going to do on the long hikes this summer for a tent where I can store my gear inside and protect it from, you know, porcupines and things like that, and have enough space, livability space. And, you know, honestly, I can't at the moment spend that kind of money in US dollars as a Canadian with the shipping and the duty and the exchange rate and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, I would have thought I would get a lot more time out of the duplex, frankly, for the investment. And that's the point of the video. Talk to these companies, talk to these manufacturers, ask about delamination, ask about failure rates, ask about what happens if this happens just right after the warranty's expired. Mine was a little past that, I understand, but try to find out, because these are big investment items, big ticket items, and they're important for your safety in the backcountry. You need to have a structure you can trust. So, DCF Delamination. You're informed? Buyer beware. Get the information. As I said, all these companies are great. ZPacks are always great to deal with. But in this case, I would have thought I would have had my tent for a lot longer than that, and especially for the summer that I have planned. So just do your research before you spend your money, and I hope this helps.